If you guys only knew the hot mess that this was taking to film, man, I don't want anyone to have the ability to be a fly on my wall. There is a minor break in the storm happening right now, and so I may be able to film this and get this going before the power goes out. Wish me luck. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Stephanie and this is all about my life after gastric bypass surgery, and today is my 11-month update. Just a couple housekeeping things before we get started. If you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for following my journey and supporting me, and if you're not, I just ask that you please consider subscribing if this is the kind of content that you like, and you can ring the notification bell to find out whenever I do post a new video. Not only is it obligatory to ask you to like and subscribe, but I looked at my analytics the other day and realized that I have met all of the qualifications for being a legitimate YouTube channel and monetization. I just don't quite have the subscriber count yet. So that's the new push. So if you want to support the channel and you do enjoy the work that I do and the content that I'm trying to put out, that's the best way to support me right now. And I do appreciate it so much for all of you who have subscribed. I never thought that I'd get here, so I'm so happy. I am so close to the 1-year mark that this video almost seems silly to put out there, because I myself am anxious to get to the 12-month, 1-year anniversary video. But I figured it'd be kind of rude to skip a month just because of anticipation. Although it wouldn't just be anticipation, because man, this has been a rough couple of weeks. If anybody pays attention to my normal schedule, you may have realized that I did skip a week. And there's a lot of reasons for that. I found this calendar recently that really spoke to me. And I really feel like for some reason, this year in particular, daylight savings took me by surprise, even though it's not like I've never experienced this before. And I spent a good couple of days being shocked as if I've never gone through daylight savings. And then just several days of not being able to kind of get going with my schedule and just feeling like by the end of the day, everything was so dark and gloomy and my whole routine was off that I totally just decided a video was not something I needed to push out. In addition to that, I've been really stressed out, which is something that I do actually want to touch base in this video about, because I think it's extremely relevant and it's kind of forced me to take a pause and reevaluate things. But I'm going to get into the stats first, because I know sometimes that's just really what you want to know. You want to know the numbers, you want to know how much weight, you want to know what we're looking at. So here's what we're looking at. So numbers coming at ya. My highest recorded weight was 383.3 pounds, and I started the pre-op diet at 374 pounds. And so this last month, I weighed in at the beginning of the month at 222.8 pounds, and by the end of the month, I was at 215.4 pounds, which puts me at a loss of 7.4 pounds for the month, and 158.6 pounds lost total since I started this process. That's crazy. Like, those numbers, they just keep getting bigger. Well, one of them keeps getting smaller, but the total loss just keeps getting bigger and bigger and is exceeding anything I really thought I would be at this point. So every time I weigh in, I'm just like, wow. 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 That's a good message. Once I passed 150 pounds, I was just like, I feel like I'm blown away every time I get on the scale. I know that weight loss is the most important thing for most people, and they want to know kind of what to expect and, you know, what's going on every month, what might be affecting that, and fluctuations and things like that. And it certainly is interesting. I've gotten to the point where I just don't care anymore. I don't care, and I'll tell you why. I have exceeded anything that I thought that I would reach. I'm in numbers now that I hadn't ever really like legitimately thought about. I'm in uncharted territory, you guys. And so I don't care. I weigh now every week as a data point and out of curiosity. I know I'm still losing weight. I also know that it's slowing down, partially because I am almost a year into this process, but also it's the holidays, you guys, and I'm not stopping myself from eating certain things. In fact, I've been snacking on cookies for like a week now.
'tis the season to be merry.
Now, granted, the way I do things is totally different now. The cookies, the things that I choose are way lower sugar. I know I put it in one of my last videos, but here's a good example. I'm gonna have some of these Smart Sweets while I edit the video, because I put myself in a position of filming and editing all in one go, so yay, go me. The ones that I'm eating right now, we picked up at Costco, and it's like 2 grams of sugar per cookie, and I have 1 or 2 cookies at a time. You know, it's very different than what I used to do before. I mean, I used to try to eat as many cookies as possible in a sitting without getting sick. So, I mean, that looks totally different. I'm very excited about a homemade advent calendar that we're gonna do starting in December. And we picked up some small chocolates at Costco to add to our homemade advent calendar. I'm not gonna stop myself from doing these things, but what they are now is a bite here or there, and it's not me gorging on candy and sweets all the time. That being said, for the last year, I've really limited how much sweets and junk food and stuff I eat, and so it has ramped up just a tiny bit, just because that's kind of what's all around in the holidays. And I could be really strict on myself, and I could be like, hey, just because it's the holidays doesn't mean that you get to eat these things. But I have such a different viewpoint on food and such a different relationship with food now. And I think I've finally hit a point where I'm the most comfortable I've ever been with food. I have the healthiest relationship I've ever had with food, and I naturally am gravitating towards things that are healthier, lower carb, lower sugar, lower junk, because they make me feel better. When I pay attention to that, they make me feel better. I don't want to eat things that make me feel awful. And that seems like a no-brainer, right? Like, yeah, don't eat things that make you feel awful. Well, this is a really good segue into what happened this last month, which is something that really made me take a step back and reevaluate things. I started to eat a little bit more normal. And what I mean by that is I wasn't being as particular about the types of food that I'm eating and like ramping into a heavy meal throughout the day. I still am drinking the protein coffee every morning. I still find that I am happier and my tummy is better settled if I don't eat solid foods in the morning. So it's not like that changed, but I was eating a lot of leftovers and random stuff for lunch. And this is really where I got into a point where I had to rethink what I was doing, and I had to realize that it wasn't making me feel good. This is something that I actually noticed when I traveled in September with my mom, and I'll link that video if you want to take a look at that. But I noticed during that trip that eating out every meal, or most meals, was really making me feel like my stomach needed a break, and I needed a moment to, like, you know, reassess and eat like small little snacky foods and like cheeses and trail mixes and stuff instead of all the leftovers of all the meals that we were eating. And I have realized that although I've been cooking my own food, it's been a very similar experience this last month, because I've just been eating a lot of normal food in small quantities and eating them for lunches so that I can get through leftovers and things, and then realizing at the end of the day, I don't feel very good. A few days ago, I had a really bad dumping experience over a protein bar that I've eaten many times. We made dinner. I could only eat about 3 bites of it, and I was like, wow, something's not sitting right. And I don't know why, but I just can't eat. I'm not hungry. And a couple hours later, I got a little bit hungry, so I ate a protein bar instead, thinking that that would at least give me some protein and something bulky to work off of. And it wasn't very long before I had one of the worst dumping episodes I've ever had. And I don't know why. I don't know what caused it. It's a low sugar protein bar. It's one that I've had many, many times before. There wasn't anything particular about what I ate that was the problem, but I got so nauseous that I thought I was going to throw up, and I was in the bathroom trying to. I felt that bad, and I was just gagging and nothing was happening, and I just felt awful for quite a while, probably about a good half hour. And that's when I realized that I needed to reevaluate what was going on. And something just clicked with me where I realized that I need to ramp up to a normal dinner at night, or a normal meal. I kind of pieced together all the things that I've learned in the last year, and it just was like a light bulb that went off. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's what I need to do. I need to start with a protein shake in the morning because my tummy does not like solid foods first thing. And then I need to have something easy to digest, really simple, small amounts of food for lunch. And then I can have a normal dinner, still in very small quantities, but more normal food, and it doesn't bother my tummy. Even things like just leftover chicken breasts and fibrous vegetables were making me super sick around lunchtime, and it's because I think that my stomach just needs to ramp up to those harder to digest foods. So I backpedaled pretty hard, and I started just having a yogurt for lunch or some cheese and fruit or something really simple, and really started listening to myself and my body. I had forgotten that a small amount of simple food really does satisfy me. My old brain, I don't know if I'm ever gonna get rid of her.
She doesn't even go here.
Like, I don't know if it's ever gonna go away, but my old brain just tries so hard to take control and to lead this in a direction that it's comfortable with. And what that means is that I start thinking about food in a different way again, and I start wanting things for the sake of wanting them and wanting quantities of food that I can't really handle anymore just because it's more familiar. And when I actually take a step back and I listen to myself and I eat 6 ounces of yogurt and cheese for lunch, and I don't feel like I'm full and satisfied, but I sit down and I realize that I'm completely content with that amount of food and I can move on, it makes me kind of reevaluate things and be more mindful when I'm eating. And that's what I need to continue doing. The other thing I focused on when I backpedaled was making sure I was staying hydrated, because I realized in the midst of all of this that I wasn't drinking enough, and it's probably contributing to how I feel. I really do feel that there's a connection between feeling nauseous and food not settling with me and my dehydration level. If I'm consistently not drinking enough water, it is way more likely that whatever I eat is gonna not settle with me. And so I need to get so much better at that. I need to get so much better at staying hydrated. One of the other things that I realized this month also has to do with the stress that I was talking about earlier. And I kind of realized, I feel like a lot of things clicked with me this month, but I kind of realized that I am not handling stress as well as I thought I was. And although I've been putting a lot of effort into my coping mechanisms, and I talked a lot about that in my last video, I don't think I'm there yet. And I don't think that I've tried nearly as hard lately as I have in other times this last year. I was noticing that my attitude was kind of coming out again, and that I wasn't behaving or acting the way that I really wanted to. I was taking things out on my boyfriend that he doesn't deserve. I was just sort of back in this older mindset for a little while. And with the increased stress and everything going on, I realized that although I've been working on my coping skills, I don't actually think I have a replacement one yet. So food doesn't give me an endorphin rush anymore. Food physically doesn't do what it used to do. And I've gotten really successful at that over the last year. I know that when I'm stressed out, turning to food just doesn't do anything for me anymore. And that's great. I don't want that as a coping skill. The problem with that is that I don't really have a replacement. And so I've noticed that when I get really stressed now, I don't have an outlet, and sometimes I let that get out of hand. I've noticed an increase in shopping. Now, granted, I'm doing it for Christmas. I'm shopping for gifts. I'm doing things that get me excited about decorating for the holidays. I'm not, buying frivolous, stupid things for the most part, but I have noticed an increase in allowing myself to do those things and feeling kind of a rush with doing that. And I did do a video on transfer addiction pretty early on, so it's not like I didn't know that this kind of thing was possible, but it still sneaks up on you. Nothing I've done so far has been problematic. Nothing I've done has been like, ooh, that's a habit that you don't really want to start so far, you know. But what I decided more recently was to try new things and to try things that were kind of more for myself and my own wellness, and just try to see if I can find some other replacement. And the first big one is that I booked a float appointment at a sensory deprivation tank. I've heard a million things about sensory deprivation tanks, and I've always wondered what it would be like. And it's supposed to be kind of like an opportunity to meditate, and you have the ability to kind of shut off everything around you. It's just you and yourself in a quiet, warm, still place. And I've always wondered what my brain would do if I were in a position like that. So I'm going to give that a shot, and I'm definitely going to report to you guys what that's like, because I think self-care is really important. And a lot of us, if you're like me, I think about everyone else and I don't really take the time to do something for me. And with that, I thought it would be really fun to try to do like a Zumba class or something, do something completely out of my comfort zone, but start trying some things that I wouldn't have done 158.6 pounds ago. I would like to form a healthy habit and good coping skills for when I am stressed and with managing my general mood. And I think this is a really good start to doing that. And honestly is all part of the same process. This is a lot of change to go through in a very short amount of time. And you gotta be on your toes, man. You gotta start catching things when they start happening and realizing and changing. I have to be able to change with myself. I can't, my body and everything can't change and my mind stays in the past. I can't do that. And it can be really uncomfortable for some people. And I'm trying to learn to embrace it and move forward. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. One other quick observation that I noticed this last month as we're getting into the winter now is that I am cold all the time. And this might be a weird transition. I just realized I went from one like really heavy topic to nothing, but I feel like it's important to note that this is something I hear about all the time, is being cold after surgery, and that is no exception here. I am freezing all the time. I'm pretty much living in my heated blanket at this point. I have it on all day while I'm working. I have to wear long sleeves around the house now, pretty much. I'm just cold all the time. I experienced that a little bit last winter, but not nearly as much now. And that's probably because I've lost so much weight that my body doesn't have the insulation that it used to have. And so it really feels noticeably cold for me. And then the last thing I wanted to say were some non-scale victories that happened this last month. And I'll be totally honest, I've been so stressed and so busy that I haven't taken the time to really pay attention to those positive things, which is something that I always try to stress to other people to do. And here I am just sort of getting caught up in the moment and not thinking about it. One thing that I thought of is that for Halloween, I bought myself a Halloween dress and I was so excited. And I bought an XL just like hoping that it would fit, and it fit perfectly. I've noticed that everything that I buy online in an XL seems to come and fit perfectly. I have never had that happen before. I am so happy with that. I also bought knee-high boots. I've never been able to wear knee-high boots. I wore an outfit the other day that was just black leggings and knee-high boots and like a long sweater. And I was like, I've never worn an outfit like this in my entire life. I mean, that's such a small thing, but such a big thing at the same time. Like an entire new wardrobe and an entire new comfort level has been opened with this process. And I'm trying to figure out what I like and what feels good and, you know, where my confidence lies and what my style is. I'm having to rein it in a little bit because I want to buy everything that I think is cute, but I'm not done losing weight yet. So I don't want to go overboard and have all these clothes that end up being too big for me in the long run. I just don't know where I'm going to settle yet. But for right now, I am so excited about the world that's opening up in front of me. It's like overwhelming sometimes. Well, that's all I have for you for this video. Thank you so much for watching and supporting my content. I really appreciate all of you who stopped by, and for those of you who've been following me from the beginning, it's amazing to think about the community that we have here and the people that I've gotten to know so far. So thank you so much. And as always, remember to stay happy and healthy, and always remember to celebrate the small achievements along the way. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.